Did a leading keto doctor just say that keto is bad for you or can put you in a coma? Anyway, my name is Ryan. This is High Carb Regenerator. Welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about this. Now I have to admit, somebody sent this to me in an email and I have no idea who this is. I have no idea who most of these keto doctors are. When I was in the keto world, YouTube really didn't even exist. When somebody sent this to me, I really didn't even pay any attention to it. And I'm like, you know what? I probably should get this information out there. I do have, not the biggest channel in the world, but I do have, a channel. So I figured I'd get this out there. It's only like a 6-minute video that we're going to be watching here. But I wanted to watch this. I wanted to get this information out there. So let's hop into the computer and do that now. All right, let's get started watching this video. Again, like I said earlier, I really don't know who this guy is. I didn't even know this was going on until somebody sent me an email about it. So anyway, let's listen up.
Many of you may...
And I find it interesting that when you type this guy's name into YouTube about quitting, this video doesn't show up. It's like everybody else watching this video. So I don't know where this video originally aired.
Recall that I helped popularize keto. And in fact, in 2017, I wrote a book called Fat for Fuel, which when it was released was the #1 book sold in the United States. Overall, not just in some obscure category.
I don't even remember seeing this book, so I have no idea who this guy is. But I did hear he's worth like $100 million because of his supplements. So you got to watch these dudes selling supplements.
And many people improved, including myself, by following the principles in here. And I believed at the time that fat was the best fuel that you could use to generate energy in your body. And I'm not dismissing the fact that many people improved, including myself, but many people also had challenges following the low carb diet, especially for a long time. And
all right, key. That is the key. It is going to work for some amount of time. That is different for everybody. Some amount of time, it is going to work. How long that some amount of time is, it depends on you and your ability to get rid of that much toxic load. So that is the key. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people can carry a lot of toxic load because you're eating toxins, basically. And so you're not going to know. Maybe for my case, I really didn't start breaking down for like 7 to 8 years in. And then I started really noticing things. But I was blaming like the supplements I was taking at the time, or I was blaming everything, or like my work sucked, or I was stuck in traffic, whatever. And then I finally realized it was keto.
This information I just learned relatively recently, within the last year, as a result of studying the work of Ray Peat, who sadly passed away in Thanksgiving of 2022, but provided us with an important legacy of work that I think could help us understand how the body works even better.
Ray Peat.
One of the things that he helped me understand is that your body needs sugar. It absolutely needs sugar. If you don't get it, you will be dead.
I mean, I pretty much could just stop here and just walk away. Peace. But I guess seeing how this is only 6 minutes, let's continue on.
And because you're being a hypoglycemic coma, that's what happens. You have to have sugar. Your brain requires it. It's absolutely imperative. So,
but you're not gonna have that with low fat. You're not gonna have that. Does not happen with low fat.
Thankfully, your body has a rescue system.
Or low protein.
Now, your body only has a limited store of carbohydrates or sugar in the form of glycogen, typically in the liver.
Your body has the unlimited capability of storing fat. Unlimited. I mean, that's why you got your 600-pound life, you got your 1,000-pound life. Unlimited capability of storing fat, but it only can store like maybe 3 pounds of sugar.
Muscles too, but only your muscles can use that. But systemically, it's the one in your liver that makes the difference. So you only have enough for about a day, maybe 2. Some people possibly 3, but it's typically within 1 and 2 days. So when you exhaust that, your body has to make sugar. So the question becomes, how does your body make sugar? I did not know this. I did not appreciate it. I did not realize this was the mechanism. But when I share the mechanism with you, you might be as equally shocked as I will. It makes a hormone that you all have heard of called cortisol. Now, cortisol is in a group of hormones called the glucocorticoids. And it's just what it says. The gluco means glucose. Cortico means comes from the adrenal cortex, and oid means as a steroid. So the primary purpose, and if you study cortisol and look up its functions, you'll find that it's designed for glucose homeostasis, but it does far more than that. It's actually a rescue hormone that your body has, because if your blood sugar gets too low, you're going to die.
If you've heard of fight or flight, that's cortisol.
So thankfully we have cortisol, and when it's activated, it will send signals to your body to break down your muscles, your bones, and brain. Why? Because it needs amino acids, which it's going to use as the raw material to make glucose in a process called gluconeogenesis in your liver. So thankfully, you have this rescue pathway to increase your sugar. And it's very rare where someone ever dies from a hypoglycemic coma because their cortisol level rescues them, but they will die prematurely from the effects of elevated cortisol, chronic inflammation, because that's its other purpose.
If you're stuck in fight or flight, you got that anxiety, you got that panic attacks, you better look into this.
And many people, clinicians included, believe that that's its primary purpose, but it's not. And in fact, I've been a participant in many longevity groups and have listened to many of the experts. And personally, maybe my memory is getting not as good as it used to be, but I don't ever recall anyone highlighting the fact that elevated cortisol level is a primary way that you're going to age. It is literally the primary aging hormone. So if you are interested in living longer and living healthy, then you're going to want to lower your cortisol levels. And in fact,
so many, especially women, comment. I don't get as many DMs as I used to, largely because I usually write back one word responses. But they're so scared of aging, right? They're so scared of aging. And cortisol is going to age you. And this is why a lot of the elite athletes, especially in running or any kind of running thing, because it raises your cortisol when you do that, they look old as hell. I mean, if I think back, because I don't get into the whole politics of it. I know there was a lot of people that weren't watching the 2022 or whatever, or 2021 actually, Olympics because of blah, blah, blah. But if you watch those Olympics, those people, they'll say their name. They're like, and this person's 19. And I'm thinking they're retiring. I mean, they're they look like they're 45 and they're 19. And this is because they have elevated cortisol.
In fact, a study was published just recently in May of 2023 that was done to show what the differences are between a low carb, high fat diet, which I was promoting and recommending, and a low fat, high carb diet. Well, wouldn't you know, both of those groups had a difference of 30% changes in their mortality rate. One, the low carb, high fat diet, increased their mortality rate by 30%, whereas the converse, the low fat, high carb, actually decreased it. So this, to me, I encountered this study not too long after I started to understand this information. And to me, it was supporting evidence. This is something I should consider. You may want to consider too. You may dismiss it. And if you're doing great now, that's fine, but it's something to consider. So it seems like it would be prudent to not activate cortisol continuously and accelerate the aging process. But here's the caution. Here's the danger. Here's the concern.
That is the process that I was talking about in the beginning of this. A lot of people like me, myself, they'll live in that cortisol life for a long time. And it really didn't age me. I'm 42. Most people don't think I look 42. I didn't age that much, but I did de-age or whatever when I went high carb, low fat. But anyway, that's what the thing is. How long can you stay in that before you can't take it anymore? And that's what keto life is like.
They tried high carbohydrates and they failed miserably in many cases. Why? I want to tell you one of the primary reasons that this is likely the case. Because they didn't understand that your body has a metabolic switch. In many ways, a switch is a switch very similar to the one on a railroad track, where the train comes along and then you throw the switch and it goes down on a different track. It can only go down one track at a time. The train can't split itself in two and go down both tracks. So there's a switch. And actually, this switch has a name. It's called the Randall Cycle. It's essentially described.
I have talked about this damn Randall Cycle so many times in my videos.
Describes a process where your tissue can only burn one fuel at a time. It can't burn fat and glucose at the same time. And glucose is the same. It's a synonym for sugar.
Can only do one thing at a time.
So the threshold appears to be, and this is different for different people, but it's about 30%. And what do I mean? If your fat level is above 30%, then you're not going to be able to take that sugar, that glucose, and run it through your mitochondria, which is a small organelle within almost every blood cell in your body, except for the red blood cells, that produces cellular energy in the form of ATP. That's really one of the primary differences between higher order organisms and lower order ones like bacteria. They don't have mitochondria. We do. And it's very efficient at creating energy. However, if your fat level is over, fat content, the percentage of fat that you're consuming in your diet is over 30%, then this sugar is backed up and it can't go through the mitochondria. It has an alternate source. That alternate source is called glycolysis, and essentially is very inefficient. You can take one molecule of glucose and you only make two ATP. That's it. And it also doesn't require oxygen. And then, so we think, well, that's great. It's not going to create many reactive oxygen species, but actually quite to the contrary, because it's so inefficient, it's going to create a lot more reactive oxygen species. And we'll talk about that.
And that is when the toxic load hits and people don't understand it. And this is when your body either stores all that fat, keeps releasing insulin until you absorb the fat or the sugar that's in the system, because the body does not like a lot of carbs in the system at one time. Or I forget what I was going to say, so I'm going to keep watching this.
At the moment. So if your fat level,
that's what I was going to say. Or it has to pull water from somewhere else or minerals from somewhere else to take down the toxic load that you have in your system at the time. And this is where the osteoporosis and all that comes from.
30%. And in some cases,
and this is where the weight loss comes from too. You are poisoning
diabetes.
You are poisoning yourself on keto, and that's why you're losing weight.
That level may have to decrease to 15 to 20%, which is pretty extreme. That's a pretty low fat diet. I don't think it ever really should go under 10%, but the lower you can go, the better that you can tolerate. Usually meal or diets under 10% fat are going to be very hard to tolerate. It's just not doable for most people. But the threshold appears to be 30%. If you have less than 30% of your total calories as fat, then the glucose that you're ingesting can be used efficiently in your mitochondria. And we'll talk, there's some different ways.
Here we go with this Randall cycle. I've been talking about this for a very long time, but I do like the fact that he did point out the 30% thing. That makes a lot of sense. Because I know that a lot of people who go on the Durian Rider protocols or even the McDougall protocols or whatever, they do really struggle with that limited fat range. Now, even he says that under 10% of fat is like ideal. But I think it varies, especially how deep into this you are, and just different variants, on what fat level you should be at. But anyway, I really wanted to, I'm glad that he actually put a percentage to this. So over 30%, basically you're in the Randall cycle and all kinds of things are going bad. So anyway, let's get back to the video.
That you can burn that even within the mitochondria if your fat is less than 30%. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But that's the primary principle, is you've got to get the fat level right first and foremost. And then you can hope that you're going to have a chance of burning this. Again, that could be as little as 50% if you're obese or diabetic. So you'd have to play with that. And I think that's one of the reasons why most people who try introducing the carbohydrates run into problems. The other is you don't want to do this quickly. If you've been low carb, high fat for years and you're doing okay, fine. Maybe you don't want to consider this at all. But if you're having problems or you want to consider it, then maybe make the transition slowly. I was taking anywhere between 50 and 100 grams of carbohydrates for many years. And I switched to about almost 500 grams of carbohydrates over a few months. And it seems to be doing pretty well for me. But just let your body tell you what's good for you and use that to guide your process.
I get a lot of questions like this too. So hopefully this video, the video's done. I don't know where the rest of this video is. If I can find it, or if somebody knows where it is, put it down in the comment section down below. I'm going to send it out of the computer here, but this was probably one of the most important videos I've ever made. Unfortunately, I'm not the doctor. So the doctor is actually the one that made the video, but watch this, rewatch this. And if somebody has this actual video, I've typed in a couple different variants in the YouTube and I couldn't find the actual full-length video. But if you can, send it to me and watch it. Because this keto life, man, it's not good at all. Anyway, I'm going to send it out of the computer. I'll talk to you in the next one. All right, that's it. Wasn't a very long video, but a very effective video. Share this with everybody you know, because a lot of people on here, a lot of people who come watch my videos are keto, ex-keto, on keto, love keto, think keto's great, hate keto, all over the place, or carnivore, or any of these, right? This is not going to last. You're not going to last on this, and it does age people. It's terrible. It's crazy how many people are going through this. You even got athletes trying to do this keto thing, and you don't run off fat and protein. You just don't. There is no version of hypoglycemia. You don't just go into a hypo-fat coma. It's not possible. Your body can store so much fat. You don't do it with protein either. So anyway, that's the video. Share this video. This video has got to get out there. Comment questions down below. Like, subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next video. But this one, really, just get this out there.